All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today on igniting early seed vigor and growth in dry beans with LALRISE Shine DS. Our webinar today is being led by Chase Oswald, our Field Solutions Manager here at Lallemand, as well as Maicon Da Silva, our Field Solutions Specialist. And to get the webinar started, I am now going to pass it on to Maicon.
Thanks, Adriana. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for attending this webinar. My name is Maicon Da Silva, and I'm the Field Solutions Specialist for Lallemand Plant Care, located in the Twin Cities area. As introduced by Adriana, today we are looking forward to discussing how LALRISE Shine DS can be a valuable tool in enhancing dry bean productivity. Just as a quick presentation overview, we'll start with a brief introduction of who Lallemand is and what we do as a company. And then after that, we'll be diving into Lallemand's LALRISE product line, focusing on LALRISE Shine DS, which is one of our biofertilizers. During this webinar, we'll be covering the technical aspects associated with LALRISE Shine DS, along with some of the latest field performance observations and yield data. And then once we are done with that, we'll wrap up the webinar with a discussion on a trial proposal for those who may be interested in testing this product in their own ground this upcoming growing season. But with no further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So just as a quick overview of Lallemand, Lallemand is a family-owned Canadian company with over 100 years of experience in researching, developing, and commercializing live microorganisms, including yeast, bacteria, and fungi. With 12 different business units and over 5,000 employees globally, Lallemand plays a significant role in various markets, including the whiskey, the wine, and the ethanol production markets. As we can see on this slide, Lallemand is present in 1 out of 3 bottles of Scotch whiskey, in 7 out of 10 bottles of red wine, in 1 out of every 2 liters of ethanol that is produced within the United States, as well as providing microbial products for more than 120 million piglets and sows worldwide. And that's great, right? But how do we make this relevant to you in agriculture, or more specifically, crop production? Well, within our plant care business unit, what you see on this slide are some of the brands that we market around the world and some of the segments that we touch, including but not limited to biofertilizers, which will be part of our discussion today, but also nitrogen-fixing inoculants, biostimulants, biofungicides, bioinsecticides, among others, which are all technologies that Lallemand has brought to the market on a global scale, and which have been delivering great results so far. And as I mentioned during the presentation overview, for the purpose of today's discussion, we are going to be focusing on Lallemand's LALRISE product line, targeting, which is the umbrella brand for our biofertilizers. And these biofertilizers, they are all based on plant growth promoting microorganisms, including rhizobacteria or mycorrhizal fungi that can colonize the root system of the plants or the rhizosphere, which is the skin of the root. And the product that we are going to be exploring today from Lallemand's LALRISE product line is called LALRISE Shine DS. So LALRISE Shine DS is a biofertilizer based on the single active ingredient, Bacillus velezensis, which is a type of plant growth promoting rhizobacteria, or PGPR for short. But what are some characteristics of this Bacillus velezensis strain that contribute to LALRISE Shine DS being such a valuable tool for dry bean production? Well, the Bacillus velezensis strain that we use in LALRISE Shine DS was selected from over 1,800 microbial strains for its elite PGPR activity, which simply means that this rhizobacteria is very good at doing what it does. Or in other words, this particular strain of Bacillus velezensis is not only strong to survive in the field, but rather robust enough to thrive under challenging field conditions such as drought, heat, pressure. It is highly effective at colonizing the root system of the plants and unlocking soil nutrients, and we are going to further explore that when we talk about the modes of action. It is very well characterized, meaning that we know what to expect from this rhizobacteria, and is also very consistent, providing strong positive performance across a wide variety of environments. And we are going to see that when we look at the field trial results that we have with this product from our 2024 field trials. Modes of action for LALRISE Shine DS. But well, it all starts with root colonization. So once LALRISE Shine DS is applied to the seed and that seed hits the ground, the Bacillus velezensis strain contained within this product will quickly germinate, colonize the root system of the plants, and start feeding on root exudates. In return from feeding on those root exudates, this rhizobacteria will stimulate root development, leading to an increased root biomass and lateral growth. And why is that important? That's important because this enhanced root system will allow the plants to explore a larger volume of soil, and consequently, they'll be able to scavenge for more water and nutrients. And that's also how we get that jumpstart effect early in the growing season. And that's going to be through that quick stimulation of root development once those seeds start germinating, which will lead to more vigorous seedlings, and consequently will have a more uniform emergence in the field. But that's not all. Besides stimulating root development, this product will also actively release phytase enzymes, organic acids, hydrogen protons, and even phytosiderophores into the root zone to make various nutrients, particularly phosphorus, more available to the plants. And that leads us to this next slide, in which we'll explore the unique dual mode of action associated with LALRISE Shine DS to unlock phosphorus in the soil. But well, we know that phosphorus can be an important limiting factor for many crops, especially early in the growing season when this nutrient typically exists in the forms of organic or mineral phosphates, tightly bound to organic matter, calcium, iron, or even aluminum, depending on the soil pH conditions. And so one of the problems that we are trying to solve with LALRISE Shine DS is to use that phosphorus from the soil that is not readily available to the plants. But you may be wondering, how can LALRISE Shine DS help us solve that problem? Well, the Bacillus velezensis strain in LALRISE Shine DS two different mechanisms to promote the solubilization of phosphorus in the soil. First, this rhizobacteria will actively release phytase enzymes into the rhizosphere that will promote the mineralization of those organic phosphates and release phosphorus from those organic materials, mainly phytate. But then besides that, this rhizobacteria will also actively release organic acids into the root zone that will promote the solubilization of those mineral phosphates and release phosphorus that could be tightly bound to calcium or iron, depending on the soil pH conditions. And so with this unique dual mode of action, we are basically breaking down two types of insoluble phosphorus into forms that plants can absorb, and with that we are increasing the overall uptake of this very important macronutrient. And although in this slide we are focusing on the phosphorus aspect of this product, which is an important characteristic with LALRISE Shine DS, I would also like to mention that we have also seen a strong positive performance with LALRISE Shine DS in terms of availability of several other macro and micronutrients, including nitrogen, sulfur, calcium, zinc, iron, manganese, and boron. And so overall, a strong positive performance in terms of macro and micronutrient availability pretty much across the board. And then another important feature with LALRISE Shine DS is that it works everywhere, regardless of pH range. And so LALRISE Shine DS should be able to do what it's supposed to do and do it very well, either in acidic or alkaline soil pH conditions, providing that consistency in performance that growers require. But based on everything that I've said so far, you may be wondering, well, what are the key benefits associated with the utilization of LALRISE Shine DS? But well, by activating root growth, by improving soil exploration, and by increasing fertilizer efficacy, which are all associated with the modes of action that we just discussed, we can enhance the overall productivity of plants, both in terms of yield and quality, which is what matters the most at the end of the day. That's what's going to pay the bills for the growers, and that's what this product can do and do really well. Again, we are going to see that when we look at the field trial results that we have from our 2024 field trials. In terms of product specifications, LALRISE Shine DS is a high titer, very easy to use planter box dry seed treatment designed for on-farm application. So this means that LALRISE Shine DS can be dressed right on top of the seed as a direct application in the CCS tank or another tank of the planter. While LALRISE Shine DS can be used across many crops, for dry beans, which are our main focus today, it is applied at a rate of 0.4 ounces per 100 pounds of seed. So this means that a single 20-ounce packet of LALRISE Shine DS can treat 5,000 pounds of seed. And so from a cost perspective, black bean growers using a seeding rate of, let's say, 35 pounds of seed per acre can expect about $3.5 to $4.5 per acre, while pinto bean growers planting at, let's say, 65 pounds of seed per acre can expect approximately $6.5 to $7.5 per acre. So a rough but a good rule of thumb to estimate the cost per acre of LALRISE Shine DS in dry beans is to divide the seeding rate by 10, and that will give you a good or a decent ballpark figure for the cost of this product. But another important feature associated with LALRISE Shine DS and its physical attributes is its unique seed finisher. And this unique seed finisher, or this technology, provides two key plantability advantages to growers. First, this unique seed finisher will eliminate the necessity for seed lubricant or talc, which will facilitate planting operations, but then it will also optimize seed flowability within the planter, allowing for more accurate planting. And as we know, accurate planting is important for any grower to achieve that homogeneous stand of plants early in the growing season. And in a few slides from now, we are going to be looking at a singulation test that we did that will corroborate with what I'm saying right now in terms of planting accuracy. And then a final remark in terms of product specifications is that seed that has been treated with LALRISE Shine DS can be stored for up to 36 months in a cool, dry location. And that's important because it offers great flexibility when it comes to long-term seed management. But then in this next slide, we would like to demonstrate that despite being a planter box dry seed treatment designed for applications at the farm gate, LALRISE Shine DS still delivers excellent and uniform seed coverage. And I think that the image on the right here illustrates very well the point that we are trying to make. So on the right side of this slide, we have dry bean seed. After we put that seed in a 1-gallon Ziploc bag and then apply LALRISE Shine DS on top of that seed, and then basically inverted that bag or agitated that bag for a few seconds. And so that simple movement of the seed inside the Ziploc bag allowed the product to naturally disperse and stick evenly onto every seed, providing that uniform coverage that we desire. And this is very similar to what happens at the farm gate, right? So when the planter fans are turned on, the pressurized system inside the CCS tank creates airflow that not only moves the seed, but also helps distribute the product, right? And so as the seeds move through the system, the natural tumbling and agitation allow the product to come into contact with every seed, and that movement ensures that the product is evenly distributed, providing that uniform coverage across all the seeds. And as we zoom in, we can see how well every single one of the seeds is covered with LALRISE Shine DS. I really like these images here. I thought it would be nice to share with all of you. And one final remark regarding application is that, you know, one of the things that I learned about LALRISE Shine DS and that really stuck with me is that this product was designed to stick to the seed and not to itself. So this means that the product won't cake up or clump to itself, which is crucial for us to achieve that uniform coverage of all the seeds. And this is going to be my last slide before I hand it to Chase, who is going to be discussing the field trial results with all of you. I wanted to take a moment to highlight this singulation test that we did to gain more insights into how LALRISE Shine DS can improve seed flowability within the planter, allowing for more accurate planting, and consequently, both of which are crucial for us to achieve a uniform crop establishment and a homogeneous stand of plants early in the growing season. So in the singulation test that we did, we used 500 seeds and we targeted a seeding rate of 80,000 seeds per acre. And we tested two different treatments. The check, which was dry bean seed treated with a fungicide and insecticide standard package plus talc, and then LALRISE Shine DS, which was the exact same dry bean seed with the fungicide and insecticide package plus talc, but then with the addition of LALRISE Shine DS. And just to make sure that we are all on the same page here, a singulation test is basically done to evaluate how accurately a planter or a seed metering system delivers or places individual seeds, ensuring uniform seed placement. And so whenever the planter places two seeds too close to each other, that's called a double. Or when that planter misses a seed entirely, that's called a skip. And the main goal here is to maximize singulation efficiency, which basically tells us how well the planter is performing in terms of uniform seed placement. And this singulation efficiency is usually looked at in a percentage basis. So the closer to 100%, the better, right? The more accurately the planter is placing individual seeds. So when we look at this table on the right side of this slide, we can see that averaged across all the 6 different log runs that we did, dry bean seed treated with LALRISE Shine DS showed fewer skips as well as fewer doubles compared to the check. And that's great. That's what we wanted, because when we add those two together, the total number of errors was lower as well with LALRISE Shine DS, and that resulted in a singulation efficiency that increased from 91.5% with the check to 92.9% with LALRISE Shine DS, basically indicating that planting accuracy was increased with the seed that was treated with our product. And then when the last column of the table, we can see that the plant population that was achieved with LALRISE Shine DS was also closer to the target seeding rate of 80,000 seeds per acre. So now we are not only talking about a singulation efficiency or a planting accuracy anymore, we are also talking about cost savings with LALRISE Shine DS. As we got closer to the target seeding rate, we are using less seeds, and as we know, seed isn't cheap. So this is all that I had for today. Now I'm going to hand it to Chase, who is going to be discussing the field trial results that we have with LALRISE Shine DS. I appreciate everyone's attention. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, and for that thorough walkthrough, how we can expect the product to work, how we apply it, and, what the potential benefits we can see when incorporating this technology into our system. And I get to talk about really a fun data set here that we've been working with the past couple of years. But before that, my name's Chase. I live in Leeds, North Dakota. Been with Lallemand for 6 years now, and I'm on Mike and's team. And, really the function of what we do is we're applied researchers. We take our products, we show how they work in the field, and help with launching products. And that's what we're going to walk through. And hopefully by the end of, what you guys see here, from what we've seen from a yield response with this product on dry beans, how you guys can be a part of it. We're in the launch phase with this. We're going to get it on as many beans as we can on a large scale. And you'll see, hopefully, by the time we're done walking through that's why that is. So of course, when Mike and I are first given a technology to begin to evaluate and assess, we start out in small plots. Small replicated plots with contract researchers and universities alike to see how the product works in a very controlled environment. And so this would have been from, starting as early as 4 years ago, I suppose, working with a contract researcher out in Jerome, Idaho, kind of right in that heart of that dry bean seed production. And what we saw is been incredibly consistent results in these replicated trials. Oftentimes separating statistically, but really more so what I want to draw your attention to. And and to keep paying attention throughout this entire data set is the consistency of the performance, both in terms of magnitude and just how often it shows up. And so looking at this, I don't have the average here, but 21, 22, this product in a controlled setting, there was on the order of 200 pounds. And then in 2023, a higher yielding year, we still saw a yield advantage in a small plot setting in Idaho. And this is really our foundation. So now we actually do have another slide. You can go to the next one, Mike. And in North Dakota, exemplifying a nice yield response in Carrington with NDSU, again, in a small plot setting. But this was our foundation. We start small scale. We vet out the efficacy or what we can expect, and now we go to the field, and that was, of course, our goal next year, and then also going into this spring, what we really hope to expand on. And so we did get a good amount of what we call commercial trials. So these are when farmers get to apply it on their own ground and see how it works where they're producing dry beans. And this is the average composite of what we saw just this year. If we we know a lot of times when we're thinking about split planter trials, it's best with beans just to split the field out. And that's what most of the trials, how they were set up. And we'll talk about that at the end. But this isn't just a case study on the left, how we assess the yield in these different trials, just as an example. But the composite is presented on the right. And when we averaged out our 8 on-farm trials in 2024, there was an average response of 209 pounds to the acre. These are primarily pinto bean trials, but we also had some kidneys, and we'll break those down on kind of an individual basis. But a really nice, respectable yield increase just with incorporating this product. I know Mike indicated kind of the pricing that you guys could expect planning or incorporating this into a system, but really an 8-to-1 ROI when we average these commercial trials out. And also that does not include our replicated stuff, but that would also be on the same order, a really strong 8 to 10x ROI for this product, kind of using current market prices with our beans. But so that's the average composite. Why don't you go to the next slide, Mike, and where we just kind of break down individual ones. These were all trials conducted on my father-in-law's farm. We ran 4 different trials. In 3 of the 4, we saw a really nice yield response. Didn't seem like there was any varietal discrepancy. There would have been 3 different varieties exhibited in these trials, but all in all, a really good trialing program for what we did in Leeds this year. This was an example of another pinto bean trial, a conventional bean Torion south of me in Harvey, North Dakota, where this grower in particular saw 138 bushels when he ran the combine through it. There was the picture on the right. There did seem to be more nodulation and more lateral roots, which Mike had said how this product effectively colonized the roots. And when you're helping with phosphorus, there's an interaction that takes place where the bacillus in and of itself is being efficient, but there also is a mechanical advantage. If you're increasing phosphorus, you're going to go out, you're going to mine more of that phosphates that are bound in your soil from a more robust root system, as we know, and that's what was exemplified in this field as well, just from a visual characteristic earlier on in the season. This was a trial in Wyoming on cowboys, again, another conventional variety at 310 pounds. Earlier on, this would even be obviously earlier on in the season. When we talk about phosphates and the early vigor of the plant, that was exemplified by these root digs as well. In terms of root system, appeared to be a little bit darker green and a little taller as well. And then this was another example of a really nice trial. Almost 200 pounds with this particular individual's field. These were on kidney beans. And again, same type of observation, maybe more nodules and a little more robust root system when incorporating this product. But my eyes really continue to go back to that two on the order of 200 pounds that we're seeing pretty consistently. As I kind of framed out, we started vetting the product 3-4 years ago. Seen very consistent results. We got what I would consider, a limited amount of trials in on a commercial sense, but 4 years of data that's been incredibly consistent. And of course, now our goal is to get more commercial trials on. That's kind of where you guys hopefully will come into the equation with respect to this product. So, we know how to set up on farm trials, but in corn, I often like to do split planters, but the best case often is splitting a field where you got consistent soil types. I like to plan out the headland, just in terms of practical advice, how we like to see trials oftentimes, especially in North Dakota where we know we're going around sloughs, is planting the headlands as a separate variety. So then when we run the combine through it, we're really just taking into account the straight going rows, where there hopefully will be less field variability. Of course, we can do that on our software systems and draw squares and what have you, but just to be able in real time to see on the combine, what kind of taking that most variable ground out being the headlands out of the equation is kind of a fun way to do it when you're combining, because you're looking at straight going rows, and that's how we do it, just from a practical potential recommendation. And there's some beans. And so really, the next step, if you guys are interested in conducting trials, is reaching out to our sales reps here in your specific geography, or myself or Mike included, but sales guys be the most efficient, and their contacts are listed here. So
thank you for that presentation. That was great. So we do have a question from Nate. Thanks, Nate. It says, can you use the LALRISE Shine DS with graphite lubricant? And then I think the second part is like, does it replace the talc portion?
Yes. I mean, that shouldn't be an issue. One of the things, just so in terms of survivability of the microbe, I'm not really concerned at all. We go back when we go back to when Mike was laying out the robust aspect of this organism. A microbe that can last 36 months on seed is pretty robust. And the reasoning and the rationalization for that is when we manufacture this product and putting it into the powder and the end product, it's actually in a spore form. It's not an actively metabolizing microbe. It's in a dormant state, and it remains in a dormant state when it's applied to the seed. It's not until that seed gets planted where it blooms, becomes active, and starts doing its thing. So I've mixed it with chemistries and fertilizers and a bunch of things, and looked at the viability of our active ingredient after, and there hasn't been something that really has resulted in it dying off. So no, should be just fine from a survivability standpoint.
So we'll go ahead and we'll end the webinar. And then, yeah, just like Chase said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to anybody that's on your screen, or you can also reach out our general line, the support@lallamandplantcare.com, or also our toll-free 188 number. Again, thank you for taking the time for joining us. We appreciate it, and have a good rest of your day.